All right, so welcome to Premiere Pro 2020. My screen will look a little different than yours. I'm on a PC because it records better. The Macs, they don't record as well. So I'm using that using my PC, but the concept and the techniques are the same, just a couple of differences in terms of your button push, but you're not going to worry about that in this episode. So to get started, I want to start with Premiere Pro works opposite of every other software you have used in your education career. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, all of those things, you work for a while and then you tell it where to save. Premiere Pro, the first thing you do is you name your project and you tell it where to save that project. Okay, I'm going to say it again. Premiere Pro, the first thing you do is name the project and tell it where to save the project. This little recent window is pretty cool. But if everything is named untitled, you don't know which one it is. Okay? I'm going to say it a third time, and if I say it 3 times, you should know that that is most important. Premiere Pro, the first thing you do is name and tell it where to save your project. So, getting started, going to click New Project. This window comes up. First thing I'm going to do is label it Keller Profile. I stole the footage from the group that's profiling Keller. And then I'm going to go in here to where my file is. Yours will be on the desktop. And I'm going to tell it, hey, Intro to Premiere Pro, that's where I want the Keller profile to go. Okay? So there. Keller profile will be in the Keller profile folder. Imagine that. I don't worry about any of this stuff. 99% of the stuff we do, I'm not going to have to worry about any of that. So now Premiere Pro is going to take a moment to load. Okay, it's a big boy, big girl program, so it takes a moment to load. And what it's doing is it's mapping everything to that folder. When you open Premiere Pro, it's probably going to look like this. This is the Learning tab. I don't use the Learning tab. I usually just go straight to Assembly, because Assembly is where 99% of your edit can be done. So you really have, in Assembly, you have 3 windows. You have your project window, you have your program window, your timeline, and then source is back here behind it. And we'll talk about how all that relates in just a moment. So, import media to start. A couple of ways you can do it. You can go to File, Import, go to where my files are. Yours will be on the desktop. Training videos, Intro to Premiere Pro, Keller profile. Now I have all these clips. Now, if I try to pull that in, it's going to fuss at me. So click on one, hold down Shift, go to the bottom, click on that, and hit Open. Now it's going to bring them all in. Again, takes just a moment. So the workflow is you're going to work from this window to determine the files you want to use. You're going to double click them. They're going to open in the source window. You're then going to hit your in and out points, which we'll talk about a good bit. And then you'll drag it down to your timeline and it'll show up in program. Just like when we do the news show, what's in program is what gets saved. So if it's not in program, it won't get saved. It can be in the source all day long. It can be in the timeline all day long. But if it doesn't show up in program, not going to get saved. And there's a couple of mistakes that you can make in doing Premiere Pro that'll prevent you from getting the file you want. Hopefully, if you do it the way I show you, you'll be able to edit quickly and properly with no problems. That's the key. There are lots of ways to edit. I'm going to show you the way to get your project into Premiere Pro, edited, and out as quickly as possible. Levi and I were working on a project a couple weeks ago. We did a 90-second interview in about 10 minutes start to finish. All right, so now my footage has loaded and you should see the thumbnails here. If you don't, you click these tabs down here. So I could have a list, icon, or freeform. I like icon because I can look and go, okay, where is the interview? Okay. So here is what looks to be the interview. Yep. So I'm going to double click it. And you see it puts it in the source window. And what this does is it allows me to view the file, to listen to it, and determine where the questions are so I can get the answers.
ZAMUDIO.
Okay, so the question was, why did you decide to pick AVTF? So I know he's about to answer. I'm going to hit I on my keyboard, and you see what happened here. He gave me this big gray bar. So what Premiere Pro is saying is you want all of this right here. Not yet. Slow down, Premiere Pro. So we're going to listen to his answer.
I did this class mainly just because I needed one, but also because I thought it would be pretty interesting.
Okay, so that's the end. I'm going to hit O. So we hit N, or I for in, O for out. Now if I click right here and drag this down, watch what happens. It puts it in the timeline. Okay, it's there. Now that's in program. Now, something to work on. See down here? See how all of these are little gray boxes? That says they're video files. This says it's a sequence. See? Sequence contains linked audio. What we're going to do is just click here and change this to Keller profile. Okay, so now we know it's a sequence. It's named something different, so it'll stand out if I'm looking at it later. All right? So
I did this class mainly just because I needed one, but also because I thought it would be pretty interesting.
okay, so what we're going to do now, go back up here to source. We're going to hit spacebar to play.
In what way is this class challenging, and how do you deal with it?
Okay, he asked the question. Now I'm going to get the answer.
Class is kind of challenging sometimes when like people aren't really paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. You know, and it just messes up the whole show for everybody.
Okay, so we got the answer. I'm just going to drag it down. So now, when you ask the right questions in the right order, watch how it kind of flows.
Needed one, but also because I thought it'd be pretty interesting. Class is kind of challenging sometimes when like people aren't really paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. You know, and it just messes up the whole show for everybody.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the source. Same thing. And again, I hit spacebar to play, and I to change my endpoints.
Just kind of tell people to, you know, get their stuff good.
Probably not a good answer, so we're going to keep rolling.
So how do you focus on your work when there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on around you?
It's not too hard. You just do your work.
Okay. Now, that wasn't really the answer I'm sure that Jonathan was looking for when he interviewed Keller, but it plays well into this.
You know, and it just messes up the whole show for everybody. It's not too hard. You just do your work.
So I'm going to take that out. So what I did was I just clicked, see the red bar there, I click and drag that over. And now I'm just going to click right here and drag this, and it should lock in.
It's not too hard. You just do your work.
Okay, I'm going to trim the back end of that and go back to my source.
So far, how has the AVTF impacted you as a student?
I guess I appreciate the news a little bit more because, you know, there's a lot more work that people don't see that goes into it.
Okay, so now dropping that in. So we have 27 seconds of content, and I'm not going to edit more than that. The edit process is essentially that over and over and over again. But so we shot a ton of B-roll.
I did this class
Because what we're trying to prevent is what are called jump cuts. And as you watch here, watch how Keller jumps from position to position.
That would be pretty interesting.
Jump cut.
The class is
Okay.
kinda challenging.
Those are distracting. Here's another.
Messes up the whole show for everybody.
Jump
It's
cut.
not too hard. You just do your work.
Jump cut. Okay. So what we're going to do is use some of the B-roll. But the B-roll needs to complement what he says.
I did this class mainly just because I needed one, but also because I thought it'd be pretty interesting.
All right. So for B-roll, we need to find some footage where he looks interested or engaged. This looks like a good one, so I'm going to double click.
And then once it's in, you just go to the thing and it should already be in it.
Okay, so we have that. I'm going to select these and drag them down just a little bit. And I'm going to take his B-roll and I'm going to put it right here. Now notice I didn't drag it to that layer 1 because Premiere Pro works in layers. So if this layer, now we're in the timeline. So if that layer is over the other one, it's not going to show the bottom layer. See the difference? Okay, so it's nothing changed except the layers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this footage.
Mainly just because I hit one, but also and then once it's in, that would be pretty interesting. You just go to.
All right, so he says, and once it's in, so I'm going to move that down to here.
Because I thought it was pretty interesting. And then once it's in, you just go to the thing that should already be in it.
Okay, and then I'm going to bring this here. So now what we have is we've gotten rid of the jump cut and we've added value using B-roll in that sound. And it's not polished yet. I'll show you how to polish that in a bit.
Because I thought it was pretty interesting. And then once it's in, you just go to the thing that should already be in it. Class is kind of challenging.
Okay, I'm going to move that down just a little bit and butt it up against it. All right, so we now have A-roll, which is here on our video 1, and B-roll here with that sound.
I did this class mainly just because I needed one, but also because I thought it was pretty interesting. And then once it's in, you just go to the thing that should already be in it. Class is kind of challenging.
Okay, so, and down here I can zoom into the timeline a little bit. I'm going to get rid of his All right, going to get right there and just kind of slide it down.
Class is kind of challenging sometimes.
I'm going to move it.
Class is kind of challenging sometimes when like people aren't really paying attention to what they're supposed to be doing. You know, and it just messes up the whole show for everybody.
All right, so now I'm going to look for some footage. I want a different look.
Baseball team has a double.
Okay, so actually let's do this one.
3-0 with the scores being.
See, if we,
team played the match.
when you're filming B-roll, if you can film where they aren't doing something and then into doing something, it makes the edit easier.
Tomorrow afternoon.
Ooh, that sounds terrible.
And the boys tied 3-3.
Okay, so we're going to take this, we're going to drop it right here. And what we're doing is just basically using B-roll to bridge between the elements. And this is very rudimentary, but this is how we're going to do these first profiles.
With the scores, but it just messes up the whole show for everybody. With the scores being Kaylee Mitchell with 1 goal and Brooke Morrison with 2 goals. And the boys tied 3. It's not too hard. You just do your work.
Okay, it's not too hard. You just do your work. Now I have this footage here of him doing some work in a noisy environment. So we're going to bring that in.
Your work.
And we're going to cut that short.
I guess I appreciate the news a little bit more because, you know, there's a lot more work that people don't see that goes into it.
Okay, so that's the basic edit. And that's what I want you to do here on this first run through with Premiere is just do a basic edit. Get to know it a little bit. And then you can see that it's starting to tell a story.
I did this class mainly just because I needed one, but also because I thought it was pretty interesting. And then once it's in.
All right, so quick, easy, rough cut, nothing fancy. Just get in there and piece some pieces together. All right, holler if you need some help.